excited! Hiya loves, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. The day has come for the long-awaited return of my theatre reviews. I have had the absolute pleasure of seeing some wonderful shows over the last few months which I haven't had chance to review as of yet. Some of the runs are over now, but some of them are still going, so I thought, you know what, it's never too late, let's go for it, let's do the reviews. The first show that I'm going to be reviewing for you is going to be Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead. Oh. So this stage adaptation of the story was actually based off a novel by Olga Tokarczuk. Complicite do adaptations like this quite a lot, where they take an already existing story, quite an important one, and sort of put their twist on it. And I was quite surprised to hear that this was sort of, in some ways, a murder mystery. I thought, oh, I don't recall ever seeing a Complicite murder mystery, so this is going to be really interesting. So before I go any further, let me tell you a little bit about the novel itself and how it's been described. And this is actually on the Complicite website. Tokarczuk's controversial, violent and genre-defying novel is considered a part thriller, part comedy and part blistering poetic manifesto for the rights of animals and the environment, and it caused an uproar in the native Poland upon publication, which I find really interesting actually, because there was a really strong sense of politics and environmental issues within the show, as well as animal rights. So that's really interesting that that has kind of been kept within the show, and if not amplified. And just to add on to that, here's a little bit of a synopsis of the actual story. So in the depths of winter, in a small community on a remote Polish mountainside near the Czech-Polish border, men from the local hunting club are dying in mysterious circumstances, and Janina, an eccentric older local woman, ex-engineer, environmentalist, devoted astrologer and enthusiastic translator of William Blake, has her suspicions. She has been watching the animals with whom the community share their isolated rural home, and she believes they are acting strangely. So that's it. That is literally the synopsis, and I'm not going to lie, it really doesn't give you much to go off. I had a sort of rough idea of what I thought the show was going to be, and it surprised me in so many ways. I don't think it was what I expected, in good and bad ways, but we'll explore that as we sort of go through this review. But what I really enjoyed actually was watching some of the videos on Complicite's YouTube channel before I watched the show. I really enjoyed seeing how they were going to bring it to life in the rehearsal room. I thought that was great. It's very rare that you get that kind of insight into any show, really. You know, very often we go to the theatre, we watch a show, we clap, we go, oh, that was fantastic, and then we leave. But I think to see the workings of it and where their minds were going in terms of bringing it to life, I really enjoyed that. So if you're perhaps a fan of Complicite, or you've just discovered them, then perhaps give them a follow on YouTube. Now, truth be told, I actually saw this show on the 28th of April this year, so it was quite a while ago, but it did go on a tour to various places in Europe and around the UK. It's really left quite an impression on me, so I was quite keen to discuss it with you guys and sort of see if anybody out there who may be watching this had a different experience. So for me, the first act of the story was incredibly fast paced. It was unpredictable, it was exciting. I was really, quite honestly, on the edge of my seat. And then the second act, it felt like a separate play almost, and it was like the stakes were nowhere near as high. In fact, it felt like a much more traditional whodunit kind of story. Whether or not that was intentional, whether that sort of translated back to the book, I'm not sure. It did kind of feel like a really big shift. That is my sort of honest gut reaction about the show itself. I realised that some people who may have read the book beforehand may have understood that transition in the energy, but for me it just felt a bit odd. I actually thought that the movement within the whole piece of theatre and the use of sound, lighting and graphics was exceptional. It elevated the whole show and made it more of an experience rather than something to be witnessed, if that makes sense. It was really dynamic, really outside the box, which for me is what I know to be the Complicite style, so I was quite happy about that. I really enjoyed that aspect of the show. As mentioned before, I thought there were many political, environmental, animal rights, those sort of comments within the show, both subtly and obviously scattered into it, which I absolutely loved. I'm not gonna lie. I think for somebody like me who is an environmentalist and does all that they can to reduce their carbon footprint, for instance, and is a vegetarian and etc., I think it really sort of it made me want to stand up and go, yes, like I'm with you. Like all of these people that are watching, speaking so directly about it is sometimes the best way to create change. This kind of felt very much like the Complicite style again. I love it when they do things like that. They speak very plainly about issues within the world and within our society and politics, and I think that is really important to do within any type of art, but theatre especially. Now then, Catherine Hunter as Janina, she was absolutely exceptional. She understood, I think, the capabilities of her voice and her body and was able to convey a very nuanced performance, basically, of Janina's character arc. And there were some really stunning moments of both vulnerability and power within her story, which I really loved. When we finally find out what she's done, it can really sort of, I don't know, play tricks with your mind, because half an hour ago in the first act we were completely in love with this character. So yeah, I thought she played it really well. Perfect casting, and I think for her to be the protagonist in the story was an excellent choice. Another fantastic portrayal of the character was Oddball, Janina's neighbour, played by Caesar Saracu. I hope I'm saying that name right. Immensely talented cast, but this performer in particular really stood out to me. I thought his embodiment of Oddball was so genuine and characterful. It was playful and funny at times. And I just thoroughly enjoyed watching his character's story arc overall. Yeah, really great. And I touched upon the light, sound and graphics earlier, but I did think that within the final few minutes of the show, it really it hit me quite hard, actually. It was quite breathtaking. In these final moments, we see Catherine as Janina speak, well, quite wholly but calmly about what has happened, and then she leaves the stage heading on to God knows where. But a huge part of her character is how she follows astrology, and for the last few moments of the show to be backdropped by this beautiful vast astrology chart quite honestly felt like a full circle moment, pardon the pun. And I think for her character as well, it was a real sort of firm resolve, even though there was this sense of uncertainty still as to where she was going next and would the same thing happen again with whoever she encountered. But I really loved that. It was just the best kind of ending for the show. Simple but beautiful. I actually think overall it was a really exciting piece of theatre. Not completely what I expected, and I think I said that earlier, but it was excellent nonetheless. Like, Complicite's standard of work that they produce is up here. It's incredible, and if you ever get a chance to go and see one of their shows, then do it. But give them all your money and go and see as many shows as you can, because they are exceptional. And what's more, and I think this is absolute kudos to both the cast and the creative team who worked on the show, it's made me want to read the book. Like, that's just the best compliment really I can give, because yeah, it was just intriguing. It made me want to see how similar it was to the book. But yeah, really good. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much if you stuck with me for the whole thing. I hope you enjoyed it. If you yourself saw the show, drop me a comment down below and tell me what you thought. Let's have a chat about it, because I'm intrigued to see what other people made of the show. But until next week, that's it from me. If you'd like to turn notifications on and subscribe to my channel, you'll be notified of any future videos that I post, especially theatre reviews. Ooh! Right, I'm going for a brew. See ya!